I think it's about time for a tier list season. What's up fellas, Panda here, and if you guys don't know me, I'm a commentator in the Guilty Gear scene, one of the best Scottish players of all time, and a Potemkin fanatic. So my opinion is mostly based off of what I research and see on a daily basis due to commentary, either keeping up with the scene, or you get my point. I really keep up with it. I don't have the same accolades as someone like Ramelethal, for example, who's been playing in the meta to an extremely competitive degree, but I'm more watching Ramelethal playing that competitive meta to an insane degree. Again, this video is supposed to be synopsis about the characters. It isn't about breaking them down, sitting there and being all like every detail. I do that in previous videos. Go watch that if you want that. And again, this tier list was actually made before doing the audio part, so it's gonna be very interesting because I know it's in it, but like I need to look at the image because I can't remember. The tier list will go list. There's top 5. These are the characters that I think are the 5 best characters in the game. That part will be ordered, the rest won't, because I did this at like 6 in the morning, right? I'm a little cooked. There's going to be the strong section, where these are the characters that are really good, potentially could be top 5 if another character got slightly nerfed or slightly buffed. It all depends. The next category are characters that are strong, but have minor flaws. Teeny things that can hold them back. And then there's good characters with okay flaws. This is where I think a character is well balanced and well designed, and rest of the roster should be there. And then there's the can work but struggles. Basically, they are pretty decent in nature, but they have a ton of flaws that can hold them back. Lastly will be real struggler. These are characters that are kind of stuck in purgatory, horrible states, horrible time, and it doesn't feel good playing them. They can work. I think most of the roster can work in a tournament. The proof in the pudding's been IDOM on Testament, but there will be some real struggles worth talking about. But we're going to go in order from the launches of the characters. We're going to start with the main guy, Soul Badguy. Oh yeah, I will say at this point, I didn't have the strong but minor flaws tier part, so don't worry about that. That'll pop up. But Soul Badguy is a pretty solid character, I would say. He's kind of got everything that you'd want: DP, high damage, good counter hits, and of course stagger offense. And Guilty Gear, having all that plus approach tools can make your character pretty good. It all comes with some pretty big issues. Neutral's a bit of a struggle for him as he's pretty stubby, and dealing with certain characters in offense can be a bit brutal for Saul because of his stubby nature, and he doesn't have a free framer anymore. He has a DP, but DPs are committal. So I think Saul is a good character with okay flaws. I would like it if the roster was balanced around Saul. Up next is Kai, and I think he stands next to Saul. He's a good character, can perform very well, has solid neutral, good neutral skips, and his fireball's a real threat this patch, which I like. Beforehand you could ignore it with so many different ways. People be like, oh, my counterplay's gone, and it's like, there's no counterplay. Block it, punish it. You're fighting a Shoto, his fireball has to be good. I think Kai is a pretty strong character, but he does have some pretty big flaws. For example, his damage is pretty low, and his mix-up game isn't that good until he gets meter. Of it relies on strike throw, and with fuzzy text and fuzzy defense, it can be pretty easy dealing with Kai. And there's other characters that straight out neutral Kai, so it's a bit hard to play the neutral character if there's some characters that can out neutral you. So pretty good, but okay flaws. Mei's an interesting one. Mei, in my mind, I would consider her strong. She is very strong this patch. Having access to some fantastic neutral tools like S Dolphin and of course Up Dolphin getting severely buffed, she's good at staggering. She's really good at staggering. And her offense is actually really good with a ton of staggering offense like mentioned before. You have to check me when she gets going. I do think she has some slight issues, again, if it's mostly like going against someone who's a bit more zoney or a bit more rushdowny, it can be hard for her to challenge that. She is pretty strong with maybe a couple of teeny tiny flaws, so I would say she's near the top tier section, but not at that level yet. Really strong though. Axl right now is what I would call an interesting case. I feel like he does really well against a lot of the top tiers this season. I think he does well specifically at the 3 of them? My mind, beating 3 characters out of the top 5 is a huge deal. He does well into a lot of matchups. It's just there's some very few ones that may give him troubles. For example, Mei, we talked about earlier, she can give him difficulties. Giovanna can also give slight difficulties, but he has tools to stop this, like Tornado. Its only flaw is defense is not that good anymore. 2K isn't what it used to be, so I would say he's strong for sure. Do I think you'll see him at an offline major? Maybe, if the right player's playing. But if that doesn't come up, maybe not as much. But I think he's strong for sure. Oh, Chipp Zanuff. Yeah. Chipp's strong this patch, without a doubt. Again, he's got everything that you'd want. Good neutral tools, good approaches, staggering offense, high-low mix-up, and also a command grab for throwing you off guard. And with cross-up tools, his offense gets even better. So he's a pretty good stagger character, he's a pretty good mix-up character, and he has amazing uses of BRC. The only weakness, of course, is that Chipp has low health, which is a very, very hard thing to talk about in terms of balancing. If I gave you a one-shot gun, but if you get hurt once you die, is your character broken? It's hard to talk about health in terms of balancing. It really is. Unless it's high health, then I think that's pretty easy to talk about. So Chipp's neat. I think he's strong, but he comes across the issue of being able to be snowballed very easily. But he has everything that you could want in my mind. He really does. We're getting our first character in the top 5. The big boy who arrived. Potemkin. Do I think he's top 1? No, but I do think he's like a top 3 threat for sure. He has amazing offense stagger. His neutral is insane for some reason, and his defensive options are also pretty good. A lot of his plays did get hit with PRC, and that was some of his best plays. He was the best abuser of PRC, and of course Blue Whale to sell. But replacing that with Blue Roman Cancel has really made him stand out. He does insanely well in this meta, only really losing to a couple of matchups, meaning he's pretty tournament viable unless he comes across these couple of matchups. A smart Potemkin main would make a character who gives those matchups a bad time, like Anji. And Joss is clever. Potemkin's top 5 without a doubt, probably top 3. I don't want to BS these, I think he's really strong this patch with a couple of issues, but his issues are really not a big deal in the grand scheme of the matchups. Faust, now this is a character I'd usually put in low tier, garbage tier, whatever, but Faust actually looks really good this patch. Because his worst items are no longer his worst items, as he can grab them out of midair and they have a slower float, he has full control of his bad items now. And though not giving him meter is insane. So I think Faust definitely lucked out in not having bad items anymore. It's like, don't get me wrong, there are some item situations that can still be pretty bad, but Faust overall is looking a lot better. His only issue is that his toolkit isn't as consistent as his items are. His items are fantastic, but his toolkit, if we had to take away the items, is really mediocre. That's what comes to his flaws. He's very whiff punishable, he has issues on startup, he has issues with damage, but if he has his items, he looks pretty good. Good character with okay flaws. I'm happy with Faust as that. Millia Rage, she's in the same boat as Chipp. Has everything that you could want in terms of stagger and offense, but she has her own issues that make her a little bit weaker than Chipp. For example, her normals are pretty bad on block strings. She can't really stagger that well with normals unless it's like resets of close slash at close slash. She also has another big issue. Defensive options aren't good. Chipp has a DP that can help out, whereas Millia only really has a 5-framer and a super. Meaning if she gets caught in offense, she kind of has to take it a lot of the time. And having near the same amount of health as Chipp, this is where health is definitely an issue, because she doesn't have everything. Great mix-ups, great offense, but she can't stagger like hell, and her normals are pretty iffy on block. So she's a good character with okay flaws. I do think some fantastic players can make her work, but you'll have to wait and see. Oh, Zato. Now, this isn't a character you see often, but I do think he's pretty good this patch. A pose is still a pose, Eddie still lets him approach and go wild. You get the idea. He's still a good offensive character, and his neutral isn't easy to challenge. He's a pretty hard to catch character. Flight can be matchup winning. For example, against Slayer, if he just picks Flight, Slayer can't do anything about that. He has no good air tools. He has a lot of fantastic tools. I don't feel like there's a lot of Zal players. The best ones that I can think of are maybe like Zalvan, for example, or, you know, Golbu with his occasional playthrough. But Zal doesn't stand out, as a lot of people that really played him when he was very, very strong kind of dropped him, kind of proving that the Zal fan club is very minuscule. I think he's good with some okay flaws. Obviously being squishy and no defensive options, he can have a difficult time. But his offense and neutral is insanely hard to catch, and it's good. Another top tier on the list. Now, top 5 won't be ordered yet, so don't get iffy about it. Ramelethal is a very strong character without a doubt. Our neutral pokes are very strong, allowing her to poke from most of the screen space, and having the sword toss being a plus on block guard crush is terrifying. It's super plus, it lets her go hog wild, and if she gets a wall break, she gets her swords back. So if she does 3 incorrect plays after a sword toss, then she's in an issue. But until that point, she doesn't usually mess up. Her damage is also high, her mix-ups are good in terms of like good stagger offense, high-lows like not so much, but she does have some stuff she can work with. But just having so much available to her makes her very strong, and of course one of the best reversal supers in the game, as it comes out insanely quickly. Her only flaw is obviously obviously when she doesn't have her sword, she isn't as strong in neutral and in terms of stagger offense. Her speed isn't that good, but that's about all I can think of when it comes to Ram's weaknesses off the top of my head. And of course, one of the best players in the world, Ramelethal, is making her look beyond broken every time we see her. Okay, you know what I do like about this patch though, is that most of the top tiers are in the base roster. You don't have to pay to win, there's no DLC to win here. Why did I bring that up? Because up next is the King Leo Whitefang. He has a flash kick, meaning it's just better than a DP, as he can deal with left right, his offense is staggering, and he just looks really good. His damage can be also insanely high, and he's just a fantastic neutral poker, and his defense, it's so good. He has one of the best defense in the game, so it's not easy to open up this fella. And then mixed up back turn stance, he's just able to go hog wild, and then he gets a mix up game on top of that. Leo Whitefang has everything. The only thing Leo Whitefang can have issues with are characters that can outpoke him. He has a difficult time against characters like Johnny and Axl, for example, who can kind of hold that screen space a lot better than he can. His dash blocking makes it a bit iffy to fight into, but at the end of the day, he can play those matchups very well, even if it's losing. Leo Whitefang is the king for the reason, and in my mind, I would consider him my top one. Oh, up next is one of the coolest designed characters in the game, and there's no arguing it. Nagoriyuki is without a doubt a fan favourite. He's a fun big body to watch, and he's got killer pokes, killer neutral, and killer offense. He's really good as a top tier in my mind, but I do think he does have some inconsistencies, but if he could go against those inconsistencies as he was given tools to negate it, he looks really good this patch. Being able to stagger like hell, fantastic neutral pokes, and of course the command grab, and then the new move being one of the best new moves of this patch. There's not many weaknesses on the side of the samurai, is there? The only issues that he has is the same as Potemkin. If he goes against someone who can outpoke him, he has a difficult time. But on the positive, when he gets to high blood, he can now outpoke the people that are outpoking him. Matchups are his only issues, but besides that, he does insanely well. He is very strong this patch. Well, up next is Giovanna, and I didn't have an image where I had the characters individually, so you're going to see a little bit of a spoiler for the next one for sure. Giovanna is pretty strong in my mind. I think she does everything very well. Our neutral is very good, being able to whip punish and get in on some of the trickier matchups due to her speed. Her damage is insanely high, and even though she doesn't have the best mech, mostly relying on throw, her stagger offense is beyond scary. Add that with the new buff she got, where if she hits 100 meter, she gets to keep that buff for a little while even when the meter goes down, again making her speed faster, tankier, and hit harder. Now, do I think she's as strong as the other characters and strong? Not so much, I really don't. But I do think she could just be up there. Classified as shown as best at combo breaker, this character can do insanely well, so I'm not one to count out Giovanna considering we've been seeing some pretty good results. And next we have Anji Mito. Now this character is strong. I wanted to put Anji in my top 5, but you're going to have to wait to see who else it's going to be, but Anji is just insanely good this patch. A lot of the nerfs did hurt him. They obviously spin doing less damage, and of course a lot of the reward getting pulled down from PRC as Anji relied on it, but everything else straight up got buff. Charge Fujin is an insane special move that looks fantastic. His 2H stagger game plan is scary, as a lot of people really choke under blocking it. I've seen so many high level players just hold that normal every time. So Anji's pretty good in my mind, just outside the top 5, but I would consider him a top tier. I think he plays 2.0 to a very high degree. The only question is results. We're gonna have to wait and see for that, but I do think he's really up there. I do. And I'm also gonna rearrange it. Again, I'm gonna add the tier here that I talked about at the start. Strong, but with minor flaws. And I'm gonna put Kai there. I do think Kai is better than Saul, and he does have some minor flaws, just not okay flaws. And then we're gonna head into the next character, Ino. She is in a weird state right now. I do think Ino can work, and there's been some fantastic players that will probably prove just that as the year continues, but she has some issues. Of course, PRC getting nerfed is pretty bad for Ino because she was a very good user of it, and she does have one of the best mix-ups in the game without a doubt. Her high-low is scary, it's not easy to block her. It's just she has neutral issues. Her dive kick being minus on hit is one of them. Stroke the Big Tree has just not been good for quite a while. As we know, both of them are negative and none of them are plus, so she can't do anything afterwards. She can play neutral to a decent degree. It's a little weird for her due to her stubbiness. She kind of has to get committal, but she does have chemical to help with that. She's a good character, with okay flaws. I'm happy with Ino's balance-wise. I don't think she's a struggler. I think some people will try to convince you she's a struggler, and I'm like, I don't think she is. I really don't. And now we head into the first DLC, and this is your only pay-to-win DLC. Goldlewis Dickinson. In my mind, he is without a doubt a top tier, and it's not even because he does BS this season. I think he actually plays the game to a fantastic degree in a not annoying way. His // getting buffed so he get a hard knockdown afterwards is fantastic, 2S becoming a real poke is good, and 5H becoming a stop sign is again even better. I think Goldlewis plays the game to a fantastic degree and isn't abusing mechanics like he did like White Wild Assault and all that. Having tools like the minigun or the drone is just really strong. It allows him to get into some of his worst matchups. Hell, he does well into Axl from what I've heard. We haven't seen Goldlewis get good results, so I think that helps with my backing. In my mind, Goldlewis is in the top 5. I think he's that good, and we're going to see a lot more of him this season. Axl Valentine. She's in a weird state in my mind. I think she is strong this patch, but she does have some minor flaws that can hold her back. Her neutral's pretty good, being able to throw out projectiles and clap away, and she does have some scary normals to get in with. And her offense is also staggering, having some of the best 50-50 scenarios mixed with the minions. Mix that with the damage, and her new combo ender being 6S I believe is just fantastic across the board, and Countdown is usable, so I'm happy for the Axl mains. Her only flaws come down to matchups. If she has to fight someone that can either outzone her or just kind of like outplay her gimmick, for example Eddie, she has a tough time. Some of the nerfs that have happened to some of the top tiers that she struggles with, for example Potemkin, just being able to beat Hammerfall every time when Hammerfall was the counter all to every normal, is no longer a case, and considering 2D is still the normal for Axl, it helps a lot. Axl is strong, but with the minor flaws, of course, matchups and some other characters, and of course being very set play. She's a very set play character. If she can't get that out, she's a bit lacking. I like where she is. I do think she's strong with minor flaws, but I wouldn't nerf her, honestly. Alright, up next we have our first struggler that can work, Happy Chaos. I do not think he's in the bottom 3 category. I don't think he's in that category of like a real struggler, tough time all around. I think he struggles, and I do think he has issues, but I do also think he's still Happy Chaos in some way. When he has the gun out, he's still doing old Happy Chaos shenanigans. Whiffing 2S into gunshot, doing tap 5D into gunshot. You get my point. His offense is safe and his neutral is even safer. However, where the issue comes in is that of course he can't pull out his gun safely anymore. He can't do that, it's very punishable. And even though he can zone you with focus shot, it's not as good as it is after it got nerfed. So it's not the scariest tool in the world. It's good against characters like Potemkin as it lets him stop that offense or stop the approach, but again he doesn't do well on Potemkin as Potemkin has so many counters like flicking curse, flicking gun. Curse becoming a real projectile is good for him, but it's also bad for him as he can't set up a guaranteed wave for shots. Happy Chaos, in my mind, is a struggler. I do think he's going to have issues, but I do think he can also work. So give him time. Jack's popping off. I expect to see even more great stuff from him, unless I heard he picked up Unika. Is that true? This is Baiken, and Baiken is a bit of a weird one. She does have good air normals, and 2S is pretty good, and her counter hit reward is fantastic. However, a lot of her non-counter hit tools are not that good. 2H can maybe whiff or maybe not even give you a reward on hit. It's the same with // Sure, she can poke into Kabari, but I don't think she could do a lot afterwards. So she's a weird character in terms of reward. I feel like that's one of her main issues. And the other issue for sure is the parry. Baiken players are just not encouraged to parry with this character, even though parry is her gimmick. Be real with me, when you were watching a tournament last, think about the last Baiken you watched. How often were they parrying on a parry character? Probably not often. So it's a bit of a weird one, I think. I'm not saying buff parry, because again, it comes out in frame 1, does damage and all that type of stuff, but there's just something about it needs a bit more of an incentive in my mind. Besides that, her counter hit damage could be high and her mix-up game is strong, so I would probably say Baiken is a bit of a good character with okay flaws, maybe a little bit more flaws than she needs, but I do think she's fine for the most part. I don't think she's a struggler. Speaking of struggler, Testament is one hell of a struggler this patch. I did do a video going over why they struggle, but I'll do a quick synopsis. A lot of their reward is very low. It is not good across the board. Arbiter Sign is the encouraged way to play this character at full screen, but again, with a 28 frame overhead, it doesn't go well. Their projectiles are also not that good, very low damaging, and when it came to a lot of the mid-screen stuff that made the character good and scary, that got nerfed across the board. And Stain State just becoming worse in general. You need to land 2 stains without getting hit or hitting the opponent with a normal or anything like that is genuinely absurd for a stain that's slightly better than your original stain. They struggle, without a doubt. They're a struggler and they need some help. Back-to-back struggles! Bridget. She is right next to Testament for some of the same reasons, but not really. She has better tools than Testament in terms of offense and staggers, but there's some issues that Bridget comes across. One of them being very low damage. She does not hit the opponent unless she's able to stagger and build up risk, which can be very difficult considering her risk build up is low. She overall doesn't hit that hard, and she has some issues with a lot of matchups, so she's a bit of a struggler just due to damage. Her tools are good in my mind. I do think she has good tools. I don't think there's anything that's really lacking when looking at it. I do think she can work, but it's going to take someone with a whole lot of gusto to make it happen. Man, they really hated this portion of the DLC characters. It was just Testament afterwards. Death. Sin. Now, Sin, I would say, struggles quite a bit this patch. He can make results happen and he has some good stuff going for him. An overhead that's quite decent, a low that's staggering, and multiple tools for doing stagger offense. And his neutral isn't bad either. 2S is a good poke, far slash is a good poke. He just has a reward issue right now. They want to substitute the amount of reward that you get by changing the way food works. So you could get more consistent reward compared to getting an overwhelming amount of reward, and that's affected the character to a very high degree, messing up a lot of his tools and offense. I don't think he's bad, I just think he has some issues. For example, DP might not fully connect on the opponent. If they're slightly off, then he's punishable and hit. So you get what I'm saying. The character struggles, but I don't think he's bad. Overall, I expect to still see Sin in onlines, maybe offline struggler, but I do think he can work. Continuing into Season 2, we've got Bedman. He used to be one of the worst characters in my mind in terms of like bottom 5 struggler, but now, with White Wild Assault being gone, aka one of his biggest neutral problems against the big bodies, and a lot of the big bodies getting nerfed in ways that affect Bedman, he can do very well this patch. And changing it so his neutral tools became better through the error follow-ups and his offensive tools becoming one of the top staggerers of the game. Yeah, Bedman's scary. Bedman's scary. If Bedman gets in, he's going to be in for quite a while unless you've got burst or deflect. And even if you have a deflect, he has ways to get right back in with the error follow-ups. Bedman may struggle, but in my mind, good character with okay flaws. I'm very happy with Bedman. I really hope to see more Bedman, if I'm honest. And then you've got Asuka, who got nerfed, but in a way that I think makes him interesting. I think he's a strong character with minor flaws. Not being able to build up mana is kinda shitty, right? It's a bit crappy indeed. However, the new strategy of putting yourself out of mana on purpose to get back a full bar of mana on stagger offense is genius. Asuka players discovering this new way to get back mana is very clever. It makes them play more risky, a bit more offensive, a bit more Guilty Gear is the way to put it. He also does have good offense, and his neutral is still pretty ridiculous, and a lot of his bad matchups getting nerfed helps the character out a ton in my mind. Doesn't have to worry about White Wild Assault. Again, another massive counter for this character. He's also a pretty good user of Counter Blitz. Pretty strong character, but with some minor flaws that can hold him back. I do expect to see more of this character for sure. And then we head into Season 3 with the Japanese cowboy, very weird indeed, Johnny. Now Johnny's interesting. He's a strong character this patch, being able to poke away, do insanely well. He can also play very well against a lot. The top tiers in my mind, I think he could play well into Ramelethal, Whitefang and Potemkin. Goldlewis not so much. He's strong. In my mind, a top tier, but I don't think he's in that top 5 section. I think he stands out as he can play neutral to a fantastic degree. His high-low is still scary. His stagger offense isn't as good though, but if he sees you with something, he can still whip punish the shit out of you. Johnny is scary. I think he's strong, and his minor weakness is his defense, but besides that, he can make it work. It mostly just comes down to his neutral. His neutral is just fantastic. I don't think it's the best in the game, but it's up there, man. It really is. But up next is Elphelt. Elphelt is in an interesting case in my mind. She's a good character with okay flaws. Losing a ton of her solid mix-ups off a Bum Bum Chocolate really hurt, and I felt like that was her most interesting stuff, but it was very strong. But nerfing a lot of her offense across the board and giving her projectile a bit more use, I actually quite like. It makes her a bit more scary for sure, and she still has one of the best wall break setups in the game with the Bomb Bomb Jacket. It's not broken as it used to be, as you could YRC and burst it off or poke it off, but you get my point. It's still strong. It's still plenty strong. I think the hit to Bum Bum Chuckla is the biggest problem about the character, but besides that, she could do insanely well in niche scenarios. So I expect to see some good stuff from some of the top Elphelt players. For example, Patch, who also plays her. Damn! Up next is the struggler of this patch. I would consider her to be bottom one and a character that struggles way too much. And anybody that goes like, oh, she just has to manage resource well, are genuine Neanderthals and don't understand what the character struggles. Abba. Abba is without a doubt a bottom one character this patch. Because it doesn't even come down to the resource management being the biggest nerf, by the way. It just comes down to the fact that when she's out of her meter, she's the worst character in the game. There's no denying that now. Her guard crush not being plus on block. Her overhead not being that safe, her lows not being that good, and her combos got hit to an insane degree. She doesn't hit that hard in uninstall. She's the worst character in uninstall. She can't beat Millia, she can't beat air style characters, she can't do anything. Then when she goes into install, it's supposed to be like the best character in the game when that happens, right? No, she's not even breaking top 10, not even top 15. Even though her speed is fantastic and her damage is good, her mix-up lost a ton. B- for me, she can't bullshit RPS you anymore, and her stagger offense just isn't that good in this state. It just isn't. Where she can beat you is in neutral, because again, she's so fast she could probably poke the hell out of you, and her neutral pokes do become fantastic, specifically Far Slash. But that's about it when it comes to the install, because as soon as that install runs out, aka she makes one mistake, right? Keep that in mind, one mistake in install, she dies. That's it. It isn't about managing resources. One mistake in 60% jealousy and die. That is the state of current Abba. So people are like, oh, just manage resource. You're genuine idiots. You're genuine idiots. I'm not even kidding. And this isn't even my main. I play Potemkin, but I get so fucking heated about hearing the dumb shit people say about this character. It's insane to me. Finishing off Season 3, you had Slayer. Being able to go offensive like hell and put you into a real blender of high damage, he's scary to fight. Even if there's clear counters to a lot of matchup, for example, the overhead is low, so you just have to react to the overhead and block the low. And you grab Master's Hammer, and if it's meated, you can backdash it. And if he does pile bunker, it's only good with meter. So you get the point. He's a bit of a counter character. However, he really preys on someone who makes mistakes, as his damage is high if he clocks a mistake, able to whip punish with 2H. Oh, did you not throw Master's Hammer? You get the point. He's scary as hell if you're not on the ball for 1 second. I do think that's how he's meant to be designed. He's meant to be very counterable. He's jumping in anti-arm while he's doing grounded pokes 2D him. He could call you out for one mistake and then steamroll the rest of the game, and that's what makes Slayer goddamn scary this patch. I don't think he's strong or busted, but I do think he is good with okay flaws. Queen Dizzy. Now, I like where Queen Dizzy is at. Queen Dizzy is a good character with okay flaws. Being a zoner that plays into the wings of light, aka unblockable damage, with good stackers and scary neutral tools, she's a bit of a tough character to fight now. I feel like she's a real zoning neutral presence where I can't just throw myself at her anymore. And with the unique ice floor, giving a knockdown for both her and the opponent, but she uses the ice a little bit better than you, I quite like the design of this character. Do I think she's strong? No, but do I think she's really good? Absolutely. With okay flaws, of course, because once you get in, her defense is by far one of the worst in the game. She does have an invul super, but with long startup, so there's ways to abuse the matchup. Venom! This character keeps getting buffed in ways I like. His neutral pokes are kinda whatever. His neutral pokes don't make him a good zoner though. It's his projectiles. His projectiles are pretty fantastic with speed and precise angles that they cover. So it's not easy to jump in the guy, even though it does. It goes like, oh, the ball's going straight forward. Well, he does slash and just like they bounce off the ground and hit you for jumping by. Its zoning is pretty good. There's a lot of sauce to it, and he also has very cool mix-up games with his overhead and his command grab he can get in your head. Really cool set play zoner done insanely well in Strive. I felt like this is one of their best adaptations from XR to Strive, even if he's missing some things. And then his super is just fantastic for skipping neutral. Good character across the board, but with the okay flaws, a bad defense, and of course, not great health. That's about it. Unika, she's strong. She is strong. I don't think she's busted strong or top tier strong, but I do think she's near there. I think she's so close to being there. A very belligerent character that kind of just throws herself at you. She's more belligerent than Saul Badguy in my mind. I'm not even taking a bit here. Able to do high-low offense that's very safe, and being able to just poke away at you with some of the longest tools I've ever seen. Her far slash and 5H are ridiculous. She's got good neutral pokes, and of course her cash outs are good, and mix that for defense, it's a DP, so again, good defense. There's not really a way that she's lacking. You could argue she's a bit slow in some regards, like run speed or air poking or stuff like that, but I do think across the board, good character. And her flaws aren't really that massive, that's why I'm putting her minor flaws. Her minor flaws are basically matchup dependent, as in can a character outzone her? Then she has a tough time, and that's about it. But she can poke with her own fireball, so again, she has answers. So she's got minor flaws, but I don't think I would nerf her, but I don't think I'd like fighting her, you know what I mean? Well, up next we've got our last struggler, who can work being Lucy. Lucy in my mind is a lot better than what she was during season 4. Even though a lot of her offense is very manageable across the board, she doesn't have anything insane, her setups are very strong. Being able to activate a counter at any time gives her counter blitz mid combos, her damage can be high, and her staggers are pretty good. Her neutral tools are also fantastic, as she has a really fast run speed and pokes that go goddamn far with Vortex. She can out poke you, but once she's in, she isn't going to do anything that scary in my mind. But her damage, goddamn it's good, and having a DP on top of that and a 100 meter cash out that she doesn't have to think about using, it just gets used automatically. She's a pretty solid character with a ton of good things to use, it's just that she has some of her issues. Again, low health is a massive deal. Her offense not being alright is kinda iffy, as it means that you don't have to care about a lot of the things she does. Whenever I fight her as Potemkin, I just sort of take a lot of the damage and guess. That's all I do, and I tend to win 9 times out of 10. Lucy in my mind is very well designed, but could use a little bit more love. Just a teeny bit more love. Lastly, we have Jam. Now, this is a weird character because she recently came out, and I've already done a video on her Tom about where I think she is. She's about top 15 in my mind. Strong character with about minor flaws. She has insane offense, some of the best meaty Oki setups I've seen in my life. A low that's plus unblocked that baits DP is absurd. Her offense is strong. It is really up there because it's a mixture of reaction checks of things that you can't react to. It can be overwhelming at times. Her only issue is neutral. Defense is good. She has one of the best supers. She has a parry. She has good pokes. But in terms of neutral, she can struggle. She's a stubby ass character and she has to use meter to get in. When you want to use meter for offense, as using meter for offense can guarantee a hit. If she could get by her neutral issues like throwing out puffball all the time, she could do insanely well. But until we see some pretty good results, I don't want to put her in top tier or strong until I can see some insane stuff. So in my mind, strong with minor flaws. The tier list, oh my god, that took a while, but boom, there we go, there's your tier list, and let's talk about it, right? I'm going to rearrange it, by the way, so whoa, let's rearrange, good to go. My top 5 is, without a doubt, Whitefang, Nagoriyuki, Potemkin, Ramelethal, and Goldlewis, with the top 3 being very clear to me. It's Big Body Central, welcome to hell. The thing that I do like about these top tiers is that you can't argue pay to win. Goldlewis is a Season 1 DLC, so I'll give you that, fair enough. He's been out for 4 years though, so he's basically base roster, that's how it works. But 4 characters in your top 5 that are from the base roster is actually great. I like this, this is good. You can't argue pay to win, you can't argue bad balancing. I mean, you can argue bad balancing without a doubt, but you can't go like, oh, they're ruining it with pay to win slop because it's base roster. These characters are outright fantastic, but I don't think they break the game. There's nothing about these top tiers that I look at and go like, they break the game, they ruin the game. I just think they're strong. Unlike Season 4 and 3 top tiers where I look at them and go like, holy shit, they ruined the game. Your bottom tiers are real strugglers, if I'm honest. It reminds me of Season 2 bottom tiers where it's like, oh my god, they struggle. I think there's ways to make them work, but across the board, these characters are not going to do that hot in a tournament. And having over half the roster in the good or strong with minor flaws is fantastic. I think that is good balance. Again, I think Strive is in a good balancing state. There's just a few characters that need to show a little love to, and a few characters that need to bring down. But besides that, I love this. This is my tier list for this season. I don't know if a lot of people will agree with me, but I think this is a good representation of the balance of the game. Strive is by far in one of the best states it's been in years. So if this helps you with like a viewpoint of who you want to play or who you want to avoid, I hope it helps, because I think this across the board might be right, but there's going to be some ordering issues. For example, Leo is the top 1, it's fucking Nagoriyuki, it's Potemkin. I'm all like, nah, I think it's Leo, because he's got fucking everything. That's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, hype, sub, and tell me who you think is in your top 5 and who's in your bottom 3. You only get free picks for bottom 3. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya!